Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom, compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Love one another. It is August the 4th, 2016. I am S.M. Gibson. This is Anti-Media Radio. Same as always, ton going on in the world right now. What's the mainstream media talking about? What's really going on? At least I guess kind of the situation with Iran being brought into the news with this $400 million quote-unquote ransom payment. That's going to be a good and bad thing, but we're going to get into that a little bit later once we get into talking about Putin and Russia and a few stories we've got on the front page of the antimedia.org. Right now I'm going to go ahead and bring on our sound producer and guest host, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, what is up?
Cash rolls everything around me, cream it's the money, dollar bill, y'all, I believe is how the song goes.
That's the rumor. And I want to go ahead and bring on Kevin Knight. Kevin.
Hey, man, it's good to be back with you fellas. Sorry I was late. Man, how do you follow up the introduction to dollar bill, y'all?
You don't, actually. I mean, there's no way to do it.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
It's like coming on after.
Late, you're here, so.
I'm present.
Yeah, I clocked you in right at 9 o'clock, so you're good.
As the school nerds would say. Not here, I'm present.
Yeah.
So, not sure if you saw the Barack Obama little show he put on today.
Oh, yeah.
So, Shannon, I was telling you about it earlier. I know you were at work and you unfortunately had to miss it. Let me tell you, you weren't missing much. I'm sure most people didn't catch it.
There's Barack on TV. We're going to see plenty of that when he retires.
Right.
Quote unquote retires.
But he's either still putting his foot on the brake as much as he can for war, which I don't know, or he's playing the role of good cop.
Well, he's on his way out. So
and I think really, honestly, he's trying to, probably the truth of it is he's just trying to protect his legacy the best he can to get out of there. And because he knows the next person is going to go crazy.
Just biding his time.
And he's just biding his time.
Yeah.
And that's probably the real answer.
Yeah, just biding his time, just hanging out.
But he was at least kind of giving credence to some of the stuff that Vladimir Putin was talking about the other day. Now, also, he said you can't trust Russia and Putin. They're actually blaming, I don't know if you heard, some Syrian rebels. We talked about it a little bit on the last show. There's chemical weapons that's been used, and both sides are pointing fingers. Well, Russia's like, nope. It's y'all's guys. It's the guys of the United States. And then some Syrian rebels, last week, this week, it all runs together. It's horrible. That the helicopter that crashed, and they were parading those bodies around like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, the Benghazi stuff. Like, it just horrible. So Russia's just getting madder and madder and madder. because of the people we've funded.
And we, the American people, are just quietly allowing it to happen. Waving our flags and whatever Uncle Sam tells us, that's what's...
Well, look, they're talking about this money going over to Iran, okay, as a ransom deal, and it is a rare thing for me to actually agree with Obama. But I will say this, for this one instance, look, think about all the stuff the government does and doesn't tell us about. Mm-hmm. Okay, tons of stuff. Like they don't have a problem not telling you anything. If one thing the government's good at, it's not telling you
in
something.
The interest of national security.
Right. They don't do much well, they don't do that well, but they'll at least go out of their way not to tell you something. So, but when they asked Obama today about that money going over there, he's like, look, we told y'all we were doing this. Like, what are you talking about? We told everybody, like, we held a press conference. They said we're sending them some money. So if they were doing something crazy, they just would have done it and not said it, is what I personally think. Unless they were scared they were going to get caught. But then he went on, ironically, about, well, we can't just we had to send them cash because we can't cut them a check because we don't deal with them in the banking industry. Yeah. Because that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, there's a little more to it than that, obviously. I know you know that. I know you kind of broken it down into the most simplest terms possible.
He's doing that for me. Trust me. Yes.
And myself.
No surprise there.
But yeah, man, is this not going to wake some people up? Is this not really going to piss some people off? I know you said you agreed with, I guess, the Obama administration's decision to fork over the money. Is that?
I don't know if I agree or disagree. I mean, we had their money. We had frozen their money.
No, that's actually a different. We're not.
That's not what he was saying today.
That's not what Obama was saying.
I may have been mistaken on that. Because that's what I thought too.
Right. To my understanding, the money that the money we had tied up in sanctions has been returned. But to my understanding, this was to clear up a debt, a situation that they had been.
Because there was interest on it, wasn't there?
Right. Well, I'm sure there was.
There's always interest on it. Come on, if we're talking about the United States government.
But Muslims. I was going to say something about Muslims and interest, but regardless, the U.S. It just seems it's really odd timing for this to happen. But I didn't get a lot of time to look into this. But even the, I guess, well, this shouldn't be. I guess this really doesn't give it any more credence. But Iran's public news was obviously touting this as a it's a ransom money, which they're going to do anyways. And I'm not surprised that the state over there of Iran would do that and claim that, oh, hey, we got the American embassy, they gave us ransom money. But I think it was a little bit more than that.
Oh. That means you're the 1 millionth caller.
All right.
But yeah, that was kind of part of the deal, from my understanding, was that Iran wanted money to be included in the exchange for the prisoners, right? Which, hey, if there's a debt to be settled and it should have been settled, why wasn't it already settled before, and why does it take to this point for it to be settled?
At that point for it to happen.
It's used as, obviously it was used as leverage.
It's the United States government, and I'm sure
of course it was.
Sure there was some red tape.
But here's the thing. It's like, why are they bringing it up now is the point.
Good point.
Why now? Like, they did say, we're sending this money over. And I remember people got mad about it at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like, it sure is convenient. Like,
we're talking about the first round of month, like there was $150 billion or something like that.
And this is what, right after what Putin said has started going viral. People are starting to see that all over the world. And
including Iranians.
When you say Putin going viral, which in particular, I missed the part of the...
where he was talking about the situation with the missiles in Romania and the United States doing what they want with their...
That, yeah. Was it basically his call out to the Western media that, hey, chill out, listen?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And he said, when he was talking about, okay, I'm going to talk to y'all on a personal level now. I've said this every way I know how to say it.
Yeah, right.
This is a matter of urgency. You pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He did a good job. He caught my ear, definitely. And I have to read the subtitles.
Yeah, but you're supposed to immediately ignore it because he is Russian.
And we are still a communist.
We are at war with Russia. I don't know. Are we friends with Russia? We're not friends with Russia. What
I don't know. It's a
We both exist.
Yeah, it's a
Depends on who you're
day-to-day
asking.
thing. It really is. It's a day-to-day thing.
But here's what he said that was so striking when he was talking about the balance of power in the world. And he said, the standoff is the reason, he said, the constant, the fear and the terror, he goes, that also created the peace because you have two world powers and they can keep everybody in check.
Which was a very humanizing way of putting it.
And he acts like, that's how things need to go. And he talked about the United States after 9/11, of course, when they were just like, we're just going to do what we want now, And how Russia was down and out at the time. There were, there was a civil war going on and just a lot of problems. And they didn't think that the United States, they were just like, whatever. They didn't treat Russia with a lot of respect.
No, not at all.
And for better or worse, whatever it is, Putin's brought him back to some sort of prominence. And I think he is now a threat. Well, that's also what, as a Mitt Romney, how he gets brought up. But remember, Mitt Romney gave that answer in the debates. And everybody laughed at him in 2012 that Russia, is a geopolitical foe. But you got the reason, of course, that was brought up is because Romney's on the side of the guys that want to go to war with Russia.
I want to go to war with everybody.
Right, just whoever. Just whoever, the warmongering. What the plan was. The plan was to get Rubio in there, I believe. But it didn't happen. Now they got all crazy. Who, if you think about it, and they want to start a war with Iran, like Hillary's already said she would. Like she would take care of it for everybody. But Trump, think about how easy it would be to get him to react, and they would just do something crazy as they usually do. And
there's a lot of Muslims in Iran, and we know how he feels about Muslims.
Right.
That's a quick one right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Look what Iran just did, and I can see Trump now. I got it, everybody. Don't worry about it.
And of course,
I got it. And the next thing you know, here comes Putin.
He'll be reading off the script, but the problem is that didn't we just broker a deal with Iran not too terribly long ago before all of this talk about bombing Iran came up?
Well, that's out the window.
Obviously.
It's going to be. It's not yet, of course. It's not yet. But,
But then again, is it? I mean, really, is it truly out the window? Or is there, or are we basically just getting confusing information from both sides and there's another truth that we haven't discovered yet?
Probably. That's
the sick part about all this. Because we have to sit and wade through what's true and what's not true and half-truths and what, someone's supposition that's got a camera on them that, bomb Iran. Yeah, I heard somebody tell me we're going to do that. Yeah, bomb Iran. That's a great idea. They've got all the Muslims there, brown people.
Oh, certainly. But, and then think about the allegiance with the gas that...
Oh, man, that old chestnut.
Yeah, what they have with Iran.
We're talking about natural gas.
Yeah. Let's see. They, anyways, they've got when was it? I had all my crap here.
Well, it's something buried in the ground, and the United States gets everything buried in the ground, one way or the other.
Oh,
it seems like that's how that works these days. And, it's very important that, in that story that you referenced, which is on the website, www.theantimedia.org, right now, he brings up, I really like this one sentence, and I had to kind of stop for just a quick moment, because it's not something that you hear every day. And oh God, where is it at? He says that the missile systems are part of the defense capability and are not offensive. That these systems are aimed at protecting them from aggression. It's not true. The strategic ballistic missile defense is part of an offensive strategic capability and functions in conjunction with an aggressive missile strike system.
Oh, that's when he goes to the 4 points, isn't it?
Yeah, and we can talk about we're pounded into the ground. This is just for defense. This is in case anybody anywhere does anything else. And I don't know why we've continued to ramp up our nuclear capabilities.
We say
more than enough.
Yeah, that's part of the warfare.
Yeah, I mean, what he was saying we say that they're not going to have nuclear warheads on. They're just, they're just there, just in case.
Yeah.
You never know, because look at Iran over here. They're doing some stuff. We got to watch them, and that's why Iran's such a big deal in this situation, because they're using that as leverage to position themselves. As far as implanting missile systems in different countries.
Right.
Like Romania right outside of their backyard. Yeah. That's that's a little
and
weird.
it's true what Putin said is, what's Romania going to do if the United States decides to do whatever?
It's kind of like
they're not going to do anything.
It's kind of like if the guy down the road starts aiming like guns in all directions around his house, and then he just feels like that's not good enough, so he goes and starts to the other neighbors that are around him and plants a gun there,
really?
pointed in all these different directions.
God. Idiot.
That's you.
Mental.
I guarantee if I go to your house, that's what I'm going to say.
Excuse me? Buddy, I'm not a plumber, but I guarantee you I can run some lines quicker, cleaner, and neater.
So
with my tubing benders.
If you say so. Tubing benders.
See.
I got a funny story about tubing benders sometime.
I'm sure you
I'll tell you that one during the break.
Where'd it bend that tube to, I wonder. Anyways, sorry about that.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, you've got, we mentioned earlier, Putin, or Russia. They got the chemical, they're using chemical weapons. They just pulled our soldiers out the sky, parading them around.
Mm-hmm. Of course they are.
And we're just acting like, today Obama's speech was like, we're so precision, it's real, we're careful. And I think to a degree, there's a little bit of truth to that, because I know the foreign policy they talk about wanting to have, and it's not what he's doing. They want to go over there and just start plowing through everything. And he's kind of like it's not good what he's doing, but it could be much worse. And that's not in any way, shape, or form to defend him. I'm just saying.
Well, what is he doing that's any worse than what our government's doing to us? I mean, let's get down to brass tacks. Apples and oranges.
We're talking about a probable.
Yeah, we're scared. It don't matter. He's just a PR guy. I don't know what I'm saying.
He just reads the line. It's bad for business.
They all do. It's
bad for business. I'll tell you. Here's the one thing I think, or one thing that differentiates Donald Trump from all the other wannabes, could be's.
Other than the hair, of course.
Right, and the peach colored skin, I guess.
Smoking hot wife.
Hey, you got a good point there. Have you seen the issue about her coming up about they're trying to make about the immigration?
I saw it. We have a story up on antimedia.org right now about that particular subject.
We're gonna have to
and it really is. It really is. I think that's more distraction than anything. I mean, I don't care if she's from Mars. She's not the one running, so I don't know why that really matters.
Well, and we're not Trump supporters, but
if
I think
she was an illegal immigrant, if he becomes president, that'll change.
I'll tell you
it's the media.
The one interesting thing I take away from the stories, if you read it and get into the details of it, it's like she acted like she was here on this one kind of visa instead of this other kind of visa.
And it's so nice here, she decided to stay.
Well, yeah, but
you can't do
it's
that.
more of like what a joke our immigration is. Like, it's so complicated. There's so much red tape. It's like, well, she should have had this and she could have had this and blah, 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 blah. It's like,
well, it's also about not only it doesn't matter what the law says, it's about who you know.
Well, but who cares if she was here to work or not work, to jump through all these hoops?
When she's hanging off the arm of Donald Trump,
she was here.
Who would think to ask that inconvenient little, hey, are you legal? I mean, really, think about it.
Right, but anyway, she was here. She was already here is what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's not like, okay, well, why does there have to be all these different aisles and lanes for people to go down?
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Are you legal?
I don't know what that even means. To be
Yeah.
a legal human being.
I was told I was legal, but then
Legal
again, I got to
or
question the people I
illegal?
was told that I was legal by. So, you know.
Legally, we're going to allow immigration legally. Legally.
Legal.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem. That whole
I don't
legally
know.
part.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Because legal, it doesn't mean anything if you have enough money. Trust me.
No, well, that's with anything. Duh.
It's like the line.
That's literally with anything.
You ever see that movie Kingpin, the one with Woody Harrelson, where about bowling? It's a goofy movie.
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Multiple
Bill Murray's
times.
hilarious, and the one when he wins the $1 million and he says that he'll finally have enough money to buy his way out of anything. That was a classic line.
Well, that's the reality of what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, old Bernie just had the election just stolen right out from under him.
That old bitch.
Just right out from under him. And what's anybody going to do about it? Nothing in life.
Nothing.
Because of money.
Toss my salad, fish.
What's going to happen?
You're what? Salad fish?
Yeah, fish salad.
I really wish, I talk about the great Miami scene from the Doors movie probably more than I should have. Actually, part of our intro for this show has a clip from it in there.
Shh, we'll get sued.
But Hillary really should just get up there and give that speech. She really should. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
No doubt
We're all
there'll
a
be
bunch
plenty
slaves.
of
Because
people.
she's already behaving that way, so she might as well put on that show, too.
And, you know, she's given, I don't know, one of her old dear friends has kind of helped her pretty much paint this picture of there is no one else that can save us but Hillary Clinton at this point. You have a lot of people, particularly on the left, you have a lot of people that are saying, oh, my God, we can't have that foul, just ignorant person. And they're correct in that. We can't have that foul, ignorant person.
And that's where they're
But that's still no reason to vote for Hillary Clinton for president at all.
No,
None.
you're
It's
absolutely
zero.
right. Bingo. Nailed it, man.
Think about the fact.
God, I could catch chlamydia. I need to go and just keep this AIDS that I've got here. Yeah.
Think about this, okay? This is...
Thinking. Cap on.
All right. We have really 4 candidates in the race. There's 2 the media talk about, and there's 2 that kind of there's more than usual, that get a little bit of time to, just to appease somebody, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So, but if the media tomorrow started covering Hillary and Trump, they just stop talking about them the way they do Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. That's it. And they nonstop talked about Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, just nonstop. And they're doing this in the polls because they just make up the poll numbers now.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
They could just change those numbers.
We called 50 of our friends.
Yeah, it's Gary and Jill. They could change it just like that. They could change this.
49 of our friends have heard of Jill Stein.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's sad. I think her and Gary Johnson, whatever it's worth, they're doing better than they usually would.
I don't know. I still see.
As they should, because who in the right mind is going to vote for those
I don't
other
see
2
where
people?
voting for a
I don't
president, though,
either.
is going to change anything. Because we have Congress, we have the House of Representatives.
It's
we have
not.
no term
With what-
limits. We have
It's
people
not
that have
with
been there
what's
for 40 to
happening.
50 years and have been company people from day one. And the company line is going to be toted. Right now, the company line's bombing Iran. And that's what's coming next. Go ahead and mark that on your calendars. The next president will most definitely be bombing Iran.
I think so, too. And I think you can get Trump to go along with that because I'm telling you, they just...
Muslims, there's brown people there. Trust me, he's already anti-brown people. We know that for a fact.
Oh, see, I don't think he cares.
No, I don't either. I think that bottom dollar.
I think that's just buying into some sort of propaganda.
So the fact that he's actually
he stirs it up. He stirs up some evil business.
The fact that he's stirring it up on camera, though, doesn't. I mean, that's almost worse.
Well, he's an idiot.
I mean,
He's
what's worse, pretending to be a racist or being a racist?
Probably pretending to be a racist.
Yeah.
probably pretending to be a racist. At least
So doesn't that audit inherently make you racist? I'm just throwing that out there.
it makes him look different. It doesn't matter what the word is; it's not good. How about that?
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you like, but it's not a good situation. Whatever it is, whatever the guy's doing.
Oh, we understand completely, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all been there.
Because it's
before.
the same result no matter what.
Right.
And he's stirring it up to get votes. Oh, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to do it. We're going to fix this.
Gonna Wallace it up.
Yeah. That's scary. Scary. And speaking of, we're going to keep things safe. Do we even dare bring it up? The killing. It's pretty divisive right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of feels over this one. The latest police shooting.
A lot of feels.
In, a place that has been seeing a lot of turmoil lately, Baltimore.
Oh.
Oh, God.
And that, to me, it's just like a mess on every single side, kind of, but it's very complex. I will say this. I've heard people say, oh, she deserved this. No, she didn't. Nobody deserves to die. She didn't deserve to die. That's ridiculous. Well, that's ridiculous.
I think...
But other than that, it's like, it's complex. It's not as simple as a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, nobody...
But I'll say this, and here's one, I got to bring it up before the show started. You don't get to mention the Third Amendment very often, but it's kind of a variation of the Third Amendment, talking about troops, quartering up in people's houses.
That
was an army.
Let's go ahead and let's at least give you what we know so far. Corinne Gaines, she was a young woman of color, 23 years old, had recently been pulled over by the police. She'd been harassed about her car. We've all gone through this, where she didn't have a tag, she didn't have insurance, so on and so forth, and eventually the tag the tag that she had was either no longer good or somebody had taken it or something. I can't remember, but she had not renewed the tag, didn't have insurance. She had on a piece of paper pretty much kind of a little personal statement to law enforcement to stay away from her car, that she was legally allowed to have the car or whatever. And so the police officer, and this is from the initial police report that started this whole incident, and she led up to these misdemeanor warrants that they were supposedly coming and arresting her for. Now, I can tell you right now, we live in the city of Birmingham. I know probably about 5 or 6 people that have a misdemeanor warrant in Birmingham. Birmingham won't come get you for a misdemeanor warrant most of the time. There is one very famous situation that happened that ended up with 4 police officers dying over here in West End. I don't know if you remember that. That happened early 2000s, late 90s, somewhere in that neighborhood.
There you go.
And there was a lot of chatter about the police actually being there for other business other than serving a misdemeanor warrant, which I've never heard of in Birmingham. Birmingham won't even come get you. If you get pulled over in Hoover, which is a neighboring city of Birmingham, Alabama, you get pulled over in Hoover, Birmingham won't come pick you up for a misdemeanor warrant. They'll tell them straight up, we'll find them. We'll eventually get them, and they always do. If you drive through Birmingham, eventually Birmingham will pull you over,
They'll snatch you up,
pick you up, and go hold you for ransom until somebody comes and pays the ransom money.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, so she had already gone through this, had gotten her car messed with, and all this other stuff. So she kind of defiantly continued to use her car. She had to have her car. She had a child, and the police officer came up, saw these, kind of activist leaning pieces of paper all over her car telling the police officer to stay away from her, and she wasn't going to answer anything, and basically asserting her lawful right to remain silent, and so on and so forth. And so the police officer, I guess, being amused, and okay, yeah, we're gonna mess with this one, walks up to her. Basically, they have an incident, winds up taking her out of the car. They wind up basically just throwing her car away and the whole bit. And in the process, they arrested her, and she was disorderly conduct. How many times have we heard
resisting
that one?
arrest?
Oh my God!
Resisting arrest.
It takes literally nothing to get that charge.
Absolutely. Especially if you've been very vocal on social media.
Oh, right.
Which she has been. She was a very, very, very vocal member.
Well, she's guilty automatically then.
A vocal member of the community that's getting tired of being harassed and being shaken down by the state, federal, local governments for yet another fine and fee and just to be able to use her car to be able to get back and forth. And we all go through this, and we all can understand that frustration, but we all usually go ahead and drop our britches and get our little paddling and then go on about our way, pay whatever fine we have to pay or have to pay in increments or whatever. I mean, it's just kind of a part of living in America now, a sad part of living in America. So court day comes. She decides not to go to court. They decide, instead of sending a police officer or two, which they apparently came and knocked on her door, they heard a baby inside. The narrative is that they got the keys and let themselves in, but we know that they got the keys from the landlord, but they went ahead and burst through the door anyways. She was apparently there holding a shotgun, as anybody would if somebody broke in their house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially broke in their house to come kidnap you and hold you for ransom.
Oh, yeah.
And needless to say, she felt like she was going to war.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think she did. And, you can look at it as, I mean, when you've got people in armor at your front door, it's hard to say you're not.
Good point, man. I mean, these guys they're definitely in a war.
The truth of it is, it's human beings with armor and assault weapons at your front door to come get you for a warrant.
That's crazy.
And
if you don't
the
think
fact that she, she definitely,
she deserves our thoughts. And
yeah, but
if you don't think taxation is theft already, then you need to be listening to the story. Because that's exactly what they did. And when she didn't pay up, what did they do? They sent a SWAT team after her ass and killed her.
Yeah, it's just a sad situation. It's just a sad situation.
And look, I'm not condoning any of it, but I'm in so many liberty-minded groups and discussions, and people talk about what's going to happen when they finally come to take their guns away, or they finally have to make their last stand. And everybody talks a good game until it comes down to that last moment.
Oh yeah.
She said, "No, screw this. I'm fighting for what I got," and she lost, as we all will when we go to bow up against the system. That's why the system is broken, and why anybody continues to contribute to the system, particularly going down to the polls these days. Yeah, good luck with all that. The polls is what got us in this problem to begin with.
Well, maybe.
Maybe my ass.
Wait. No.
So you illustrate to me. Then you go ahead and illustrate to me how that's not how that's what I just.
Wait, you say the polls got us into the problem in the first place. Well,
voting has got us into the problem. Politicians have got us into this problem to begin with.
Wait a second.
The power that we have given these people, the power that we have given this.
In all honesty, and I'm not saying it's not. I know there are but federal president elections. Do you believe presidents are selected, or do you believe presidents are elected?
They're selected now, absolutely, without a doubt. 100%.
So that's what I mean when you say voting.
Sanders right now.
Right. We have to, it sounds crazy, but we have to start talking in terms of the reality here. And the reality is when they asked Barack Obama today what he thought about Trump saying the election's going to be rigged, he said, that's ridiculous. And then I think he said something about, this election is going to be like every other election. And I was just, the first thing that popped in my mind is, you mean the one when Gore was elected president?
Yeah. Yeah, President Gore. Remember, he had a great, wait a minute, he never was president. He was elected president because he won the general election.
He
very widely publicized.
He's not the only one. But
He couldn't stick it out for the rest of it, huh?
Hanging chads.
But if you start looking at elections through history, they get pretty sketchy, some of these things.
And now that we have new electronic devices that can be manipulated,
the Reagan, the Kennedy Nixon one, I'm telling you, that was pretty iffy. With some votes going missing in Chicago.
We don't have to look very far back to look at voter fraud and its results.
Right, and so
President Hillary Clinton has a ring to it. As far as she's concerned,
some kind of ring to it.
Yeah, she says it all the time. It definitely has a ring to it. I'm sure that she's like, whenever she gets in a big.
I bet she's got it like tattooed on her. I bet she's like the fan of the Cubs that's got like World Series champion. Cubs, they do it every year, and
she's just decked out.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton.
She gets in a big room like a church or something like that. There's nobody else around, and she'll just say that. President Hillary Clinton. Bounce off the walls.
You said Hillary Clinton went to church.
You did.
That's not true.
Nobody else was there.
That's not true.
Okay. Warehouse.
That makes
somebody chained in the corner.
Right. That sounds a lot more feasible.
Vince Foster.
All right. That was a suicide. Did you hear about NBC doing the editor's note over the use of the word discredited when speaking about Juanita Broderick? And Andrew Mitchell was like, "Oh, this story's discredited." NBC was like, "Yeah, we removed that word because we had to, because it's not. Sorry, it's not really discredited. We just wanted to say that."
Oops.
Yeah.
Wonder who told them to say that.
Well, I wonder. NBC and the Clintons, no.
Just a good.
I mean, didn't we just recently have some emails come out or something about NBC and the Democratic Party? Who the head
was all been in trouble.
I was the DNC at the time, is now the honorary chair of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign.
I dig it, though. John Podesta.
So, is NBC working for Hillary Clinton? Nah. Just coincidence.
Friends helping friends.
They certainly don't expect to get any favors or any priority airtime if and when Miss Clinton comes to power.
General Electric does a lot more than broadcast Saturday Night Live, my friend. A lot more. Globally.
I don't think either of us dispute that.
But, we're talking about NBC like they're exclusive in this. That is unfortunately not
the case. You ever watch MSNBC?
Well, that's funny because it's just so bad. It's like, how can anybody take this seriously?
There are people that do.
Well, yeah, I guess it's the Hillary Clinton crowd, which there's not. I still don't believe there's many of
those people are still dumb enough to have cable.
Are you seeing the pictures going around of like some of her rallies and the way they're having the
altered, right?
Yeah, different angles and stuff just to make it look like there's people there because there's not.
Yeah,
because there's nobody.
Because no one likes her.
Yeah.
Like, and look, we live in a celebrity culture. People need to come to the reality that these polls are saying. First off, I say it every episode. I do not want Donald Trump to be president, but I live in reality, and I realize we live in a celebrity culture. Now, fame is used as a commodity.
If you kept up with the recent polls, Trump is way down.
Oh, yeah.
He's apparently not saying the things that people want to hear anymore.
Oh, yeah.
A big kicker with that is that a lot of landlines, most teenagers, most younger people now, people under the age of, say, 35 and below, a lot of people do not have landlines anymore. They're using cell phones. And a lot of these polls are targeting landline numbers, and often they're not really taking into account, what a true vote really would be, or a true decision.
Okay, listen. We're talking about young people here. Who really believes that young people, they did it with Bernie, who believes that young people are going to get up and go, yeah, let's go get Hillary elected? Not going to happen.
Oh no, I'm not saying that they are.
MTV's trying really hard in that whole culture. They're using the whole anti-Trump angle. But Yeah, they're pushing it, but it ain't gonna work out.
I got a kick out of all this discussion about rule number 9. Have you seen this?
No.
I don't know all the extent in and outs. I guess it's one of these rules that have been put aside that either Republicans or Democrats can use whenever they need to, but they don't necessarily do it very often. Although it does seem like the Democrats
And
use it
these
a little more
rules
often.
come from where? What?
A lot of them are like are I'll call them park rules, but they're already rules. They're things that they can get away with. For instance, back during the healthcare debate, they were talking about using, I think, it was the suicide, either suicide or one other name for it. But there's all kind of. You'd be surprised how much stuff
I know
people
what
get away
about.
with.
Yeah,
When they had the vote, the suicide, I forget what exactly was the full extent, but. Bottom line is they've got all kind of votes that come up that they don't have, that they don't pay attention to, that nobody knows about. But apparently, for whatever reason, a lot of people are wanting, and I guess it's just the left probably doing what they're due. And I know we're not Trump fans, so I hate to even defend the man, so don't take it as that. But now the left is, and the media is trying to paint the idea that Trump is somehow about to give up his campaign. You believe that?
no,
right.
no,
all because they went,
that's silly talk.
They went back to there was a time where he actually said that he would drop out if he found that his polls were slipping, numbers were slipping. You know,
That's all make believe.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He's already said
completely.
in the debates that he has no problem with his polls.
Oh, right,
Not at
right.
all. No
Again,
complaint.
celebrity.
Right.
She's unlikable. She's hated. People despise her. Her character on SNL is about how everyone hates her and about how fake she is. And SNL's running skits with the real Hillary Clinton in the room.
making fun
of Bill coming in and being like, oh no, there's 2 of them, and he runs away. That's how big of a joke it is that she's hated.
And she doesn't realize, either she doesn't realize it or she has to realize
Right,
it.
they're making fun of her to her face.
To her face, but she's willing. She's that desperate.
She's
to
that
get
desperate for
votes.
votes.
Hot sauce.
That's it. So no, she's not going to win any election. I know that it's rigged. I get it. Still ain't going to happen. Not this time.
Hot sauce.
Nope.
That's still my favorite one, man. I love that so much that you would do that and say
Because
that to those people to their face.
the difference
on that
is
show.
these Bernie people, most of them were young. They were still new to this. I think a lot of it's going to turn out kind of like the much smaller version, kind of the Ron Paul movement. I think it'll go in 1,000 different directions, the Bernie people. But the Trump people, nope. They're not going to put up with that. They're going to get out their shotguns and their pitchforks, and they're going to turn off CMT, and they're going to be like, we didn't vote for you. We know that's going to happen.
Well, before
And Trump's going to
if
start
we have
out.
any of those people that are listening to the broadcast, just remember what we said about the young lady in Baltimore about what happens when you try to go up against the system. Y'all have fun.
And
with that.
Trump will stir it up. He's going to go, they stole it from me. They stole it from me. They stole it
Can you
from me.
imagine the people that are going to be so mad if Trump loses? He's already set it up right now. I'm telling you, there's people that at least will talk. There'll be talk of riots. Guarantee if Trump loses this election. So many people have staked their whole personality, their whole
Oh yeah,
future
it's a
on Trump
cultural
winning.
phenomenon, but he's not going to lose. Here's the scary thing.
I don't think he will either.
Here's the terrifying, beyond words terrifying. People compare him to George Wallace. People compare him to Ronald Reagan in different ways. What 2 things do they have in common?
They both work for the government.
George Wallace and Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
they both got
George
shot.
Wallace. I was figuring to say George
They
Wallace.
both lived. They both lived, fortunately. Because I'm not for any of these people. As much as I don't like Trump, nobody needs to go shoot the man. That's ridiculous. That's horrible.
Nobody needs to be shooting anybody.
That's it. Period. Don't.
Although I know privately we could all think of a short list that would get it automatically.
I wouldn't. Honestly, I think that's
I've been
what.
divorced twice. Mine's a real short list. Just kidding, ladies.
Any future.
Anyway,
They're not listening, I can assure you.
if something like that, God forbid, did happen if something like that happened, can you imagine the reaction? How
yeah.
people would react pretty poorly, I imagine. Like, I assume they wouldn't take that
people
well.
that are prone to react pretty poorly.
Yeah,
A lot of
I
different
wouldn't
things anyway.
assume they would take it real well. And let's just say that happens, and let's just say, for instance, somebody goes, look what Iran did. They were he talked about those Muslims, and he talked about those
I got
Muslims.
this piece of paper here that says they did it. I don't know what they did, but let's bomb them and find out.
And look, he had all that hateful rhetoric, guys. You heard him.
You heard him.
You heard him.
You heard.
They got him. He was your guy. We were going to go along with this business. We didn't want to at first, but we knew you did.
You know, they should.
And we were going to do it for the sake of the country, even though we didn't really want to.
Or believe.
And they took him from you. But they did it. Let's go get them.
You know, they really jumped the shark when they, quote unquote, caught and killed Osama bin Laden. They could have found him in Iran. Think about it.
Well,
that'll work out way better.
When did they find him?
I don't know.
I'm still waiting to see a photo of
I
that.
think when he died back in 2001.
They found a photo of a picture of the hijackers from 9/11 in the debris. They found a photo of one of those people, but they can't show me one picture of Osama bin Laden being dead.
And the passport.
I don't think so.
Because when I go on vacation, I always
show me
carry a lot
something.
of photos of myself, yeah.
Well, you know, that's another thing that gets missed is one of the big companies, man, I can't remember what their name is, but you guys, I'm sure, probably know it. They're based out of
Nabisco.
Houston, Texas, if not Houston or Dallas, one.
The oil.
Stratford. So it is Stratford. There's a email that was dropped between employees of Stratford discussing the idea that the fact that supposedly that bin Laden's body was on its way back to the U.S. If I'm not mistaken, it was going to Dover.
I've heard that.
So yeah, it's out there. From what I can tell, it's not genuine. It's been months, so who knows? But.
Well, I'm not saying I believe that, but I've heard that story. I've heard quite a few stories. I don't know what to believe. I lean more in probably one direction than another. I've seen, but then again, it could all just be media propaganda. I've seen more evidence to suggest he died in late 2001 than I've seen to suggest he died at any time.
So much international.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know that for a fact because I don't.
Yeah, so much international intelligence over the years has, and of course, nobody's really agrees on one date or the other, but it pins it around a specific time frame. Well, long before, I think, long before Obama took office. Help me here.
Oh, well before.
Yeah, do some math.
Because, okay, and then I know there's going to be people out there go, well, there's videos of him talking in 2005 and 2007 or something like that. No, that's not the same guy.
Talking about,
I'm sorry.
Talking about Osama bin Laden.
I've got eyes.
Right. Well, the CIA even confirmed that they
that's not the same man.
They set up
that's not even
videos.
kind of the same guy. It's not even close to the same guy.
The CIA recognizes and admits that they have actually set up, and filmed these fake videos and attempted to pass off themselves as one of these would-be dictators.
Well, there's a
it's
wonderful,
completely believable.
Well, maybe he lived till 2000. Look, I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't there, and I'm sure maybe they killed somebody. They killed the guy who was playing the part in those movies. But look, maybe he lived until whenever. That I have no idea, but I can tell you that's not the same man in those videos because I've seen the videos and I've seen what he looked like. And that's not the same person.
Yeah, it's. You need to go back and look at the documentary, the Academy Award nominated Zero Dark 30, for more details. Just a fascinating piece of truth and freedom.
You can go down this route.
I can't do it anymore.
Truth and freedom
It's
by
crap.
America.
It's a crap, baby. It's a crap story.
I mean, you can go
I don't
down
know how anybody bought that crap, man.
You can go down the rabbit hole in whatever direction with so much of this stuff. It's just a really sad state of affairs. That the really underlying thing here is that we've been lied to about so much that when something happens and, hey, the government is telling us the truth for once, maybe about something, who's Like, who would believe them at this point? Like, why would anybody believe anything they said about anything? That's what blows my mind is so many people are out there and they go, I don't trust the government at all.
But I'll trust
Trump. And then, even then, they talk about how they don't trust the media, they don't trust anybody. And the story comes up, well, look, they don't lie about everything. And that's always the response. They only lie when it's the team they pull against doing it.
Only when it matters, and it always matters because win.
Right, if it's the team that they like, they're trying to take us down. They're liars. But if it's the team they don't like, that guy's a lying fool. He's ruined this country, she's ruined this country, whoever they're talking about. They destroyed the fabric of what we believe in. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in reality, they all did it. They did it a long time ago.
Hand in hand.
They did it a long time ago, too, I'm afraid.
I mean, Donald Trump kind of helped do some of it. How much money did he donate to Hillary Clinton's campaigns over the years?
Well, yeah.
Cha-ching. Nobody wants to talk about that, do they?
I mean, I will say this. It's not even in his defense because it's as crooked and wrong as it is. I mean, he at least he's like, I did it. I mean, he was buying politicians. He was buying politicians. Yeah. Just like all
you're right. He admitted that was part of
He proudly admits that he walked around buying politicians.
Yeah, bought everybody on the stage except old dumbass Rand Paul back there.
Yeah, and Rubio. He didn't apparently give to Rubio, but Rubio was like, you didn't give me money.
I had to buy these shoes myself.
Oh, my God.
Aren't they great?
I got into just the most ridiculous event today on Twitter with Marco Rubio's people. Did you know he has people? I bet they were staff members.
He's got a guy named Steve that he sees on the side.
Yeah.
When his wife's out of town.
Yeah. But it was pretty fun. Apparently, people think he's good for Florida. All right. I was just questioning the fact that, he never showed up to work, and there were people saying, he wasn't the worst. Oh, it started with him using a PolitiFact article, talking about, this guy's lying on me, this guy's lying on me. So I shot back the PolitiFact article where it says, Trump is actually right, Marco Rubio has worst record in Senate. And I think, when it all kind of got hashed out, I think he ended up third after Bernie really got his big push because back when Rubio was still in the race, Bernie still wasn't doing much. And then Ted Cruz, he took a lot of time off.
Yeah.
But Rubio was still third.
One of the best things
real high.
One of the best things Ted Cruz ever did for the American people was take some time off from the Senate.
Oh yeah. Any of them. That's the thing. I'm not that offended the fact that Marco Rubio's not going to vote. I kind of prefer that.
Yeah. Let him take that up with the people of Florida.
I kind of prefer the fact. Yeah.
So you may or may not have gotten in a Twitter war with Marco Rubio, disguised as a Rubio bot.
I doubt that to be the case.
I think that was the case. I think he was doing that from his laptop.
Probably. I'm going to go ahead and go to area code 716. Thank you for calling Inside Media Radio tonight. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello. Goodbye. Remember AOL?
Yes.
Gosh. Old dial-up.
Man, hated that.
Yeah, I hated it.
But remember it like it was yesterday.
Man, you couldn't live without it, though.
Gosh. Can you imagine how much money they wasted on sending them stupid CDs? Those stupid CDs.
They made quite a bit of money there for a while. I hope they had a great time while they were making it.
All right.
Because didn't somebody buy them for $50 or something?
Yeah, $50.
Hey, this is pretty much completely off topic. But I wanted to bring up real quick. Did you hear that?
We did.
Did you?
Hit us with it.
No, even after Obama's like, we're not doing nothing wrong today. We're so precision with everything. The U.S. is actually investigating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. It wasn't, but yeah, it was. The U.S. announced it's going to do a formal investigation for whatever that's worth. And I mean, at least it's something because you don't really get that with the military and civilian deaths.
Right.
but over some of these civilian deaths lately because there's been so many of them.
Civilian deaths by
The United States killing people over there.
By suitcase,
in Syria.
by barbell, by...
Well, I mean, they just happen to be born in the wrong country. I mean, that sucks for them.
Well,
I mean, that's pretty much
clearly
that's pretty much the stance of the American public right now, particularly the ones that are voting for Trump.
Oh yeah, that's the
And
stance of the American public.
And you get down to it, the ones that are quietly not as vocal about it, saying the same thing on the liberal side right now by propping up Hillary Clinton. Any Clinton supporter, I'm sorry, supports exactly what we're talking about right
there
now.
aren't real Hillary supporters.
There's a few of them.
It's gotta all come out in the wash on her. It's all gonna come out on her.
You know, that's why they still sell. You know, you go to the cracker aisle at the grocery store, and they have all these like different flavor crackers and this, that, and the other. But they still have like unsalted, like crappy, like, you know, like Great Depression era crackers over in the corner. People still like those type of crackers.
Really?
Yeah. That's a real thing.
I don't doubt they're a real thing, but peanut butter. Yeah.
Yeah, I need
a little bit of something.
I need
something.
flavor on my crackers.
My crackers. This cracker needs crackers. Cracker sauce for his crackers.
Did you just call me a cracker?
No, I said this one.
Yeah.
that
myself.
Clinton
Oh,
Cash
good
documentary.
Myself. Did you watch that?
Gosh, that is incredible. I love
It's
it.
got 1.6 million on just that one.
On
views.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Man.
just on
So is it
YouTube.
free?
Yeah.
Is it free to watch? Okay.
free.
It's free to watch on YouTube right now. Check it out.
Interesting.
Clinton Cash.
See it. From what's the name of the artist?
Oh gosh, I'm terrible.
Put a lot of work
stuff like
into
that.
it. Dude.
Yeah.
Is he a liberal guy? To my understanding, he is. You know.
And to all of you friends out there who have hardcore liberal friends that the few people that I'm talking about that are Clinton supporters, definitely make sure they get a copy of it and discuss it with them, because that's what I really liked about the film, or at least the way the film was put together. It wasn't put together from as it was.
We have to do something. I know I have to interject with this. We have to come up with a plan so that way, at least when we talk about Trump or Hillary, just something to settle it in my mind, because it just sounds to me like you've got to watch this thing just to see how horrible Hillary is. You just need to know how horrible she is. And what that comes across as, well, that means Trump's president, suckers. And it's like, I don't want that. I have to justify this.
You know, and the bad thing is that all you have to do is just watch. There are like hours and hours and hours of Trump footage from long before the election. Of just the things that Trump says and the things he supposedly believes in. I mean, the guy is a freaking joke. He is a joke upon joke upon joke. For the face of the greatest country in the world, the leader of the free world.
I've got a joke, but I tell you what, I'm going to tell it next hour.
Oh man,
Anytime you're ready, see you in a few.
Come on, just waiting.
Welcome to Hour 2 of Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. I want to go ahead and bring on Shannon and Kevin back in.
What up, what up?
That was our good friend Dan Sartain with the song Wipeout Beat from his album Century Plaza. Hooray, Dan Sartain.
Man, I miss the old
dude,
Century
man.
Plaza, India Shop, R.I.P. Mark.
So, into the second hour we go. I want to go ahead and bring on great writer for Anti-Media, Carrie Wedler. Carrie, what's up?
Good evening. How are you?
Doing good. How are things out in California? Is it still daylight there?
The world's burning everywhere.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah, no, but it's nice. It's summer. It's lots of tourists. Everybody's going to the beach.
I saw there were some bears on the beach.
Like
What?
like large hairy.
Yeah, I didn't really
cavemen.
look into it.
Yeah, they were playing with
That was-
their cubs in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? It must have been Northern California. That would be my guess.
It looks so dangerous to me, though, to be honest with you.
So,
Are we talking about the same thing here?
I don't know what anybody's...
I hear bears and I think of something completely different.
I'm just like, yeah, let's talk about bears. It must be happier than what you guys have been talking about. Just general assumption there.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about sports team.
No, nobody's
Unless
talking
you're-
about
Okay.
bears here.
Just checking.
Bears.
So, all right, where are you at on this election right now? Does it even matter?
This election?
You can comment on
I think
this election, but this one would probably be more.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more relevant.
I think it's more relevant, but not in the way that everybody thinks. Like, all of the Clinton and Trump supporters I've talked to are still in that, like, this is the year, you know, and, like, that's not really what's happening. To me, it's an important and especially monumental year because people's programming is finally starting to glitch out. At least not everybody's, but I'm seeing a lot of people finally becoming aware at how screwed up the system is. I don't want to say rigged because, like, that's a buzzword that I'm just, like, I feel like it's just been beaten to death, but the elections do not represent the people, and I think that a lot of disenfranchised voters are starting to accept that as a reality now, which I take as a plus. As sad as it is, I think it's a positive thing.
Well, you know, you
have to realize you're sick first.
Well, and you say that, but you also have a lot of Trump supporters that honestly believe that Trump is the answer.
I know. I know. I'm not talking about them. I mean people who, like, actually see it.
And you're absolutely right. Particularly the chatter about Gary Johnson and Jill Stein has gotten a lot louder than most people would have thought. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, my end goal isn't like Jill Stein or Gary Johnson or like the growth of third parties, but I think it is a necessary step to evolve into whatever society and form of freedom or governance people eventually choose. But you know, I'm going all the way towards like full freedom. So I think that people recognizing they can't just keep selecting between two, essentially one party, you know, like the Republicrats, whatever you want to call them. I think it's a necessary step that people at least start seeing their other options outside of that, which is crazy to think about. Like, you know, Americans are so proud of their freedom, but you look at other countries and they have multiple political parties. And I mean, they're still corrupt, which is why I said what I just said, but it's amazing that it's this crazy for Americans to fathom that there could be more than two candidates for president of 300 million people. It blows my mind.
I was always amazed. I was a weird kid, and I used to watch.
No, you weren't.
Question.
A lot of weird.
Prime Minister's Question Time on C-SPAN. And I used to think it was amazing because it was just like a bunch of drunk people in the room, and the Prime Minister has to stand up and to them. And they would just yell and scream at him and then just go back and forth. And I thought it was incredible. So I was young, and I was like, well, they have more than two parties, and this guy's actually having to answer questions whether he likes it or they're pretty rude to him about it. At least, you know, it's not like they're much better, but you have to come up with a better story than what you get over here. Which,
yeah, totally.
You know, there's a little bit more accountability, but look at their politics. Is there more accountability? Because
yeah, exactly. There's a facade of accountability within the Houses of Parliament. I actually was in London once, and we went to Parliament, and we ended up seeing a minister resign, and it was in the middle of a scandal. Unfortunately, I was an Obama supporter then, and I paid no attention, so I couldn't tell you more. But it was cool. However, I'm pretty sure the UK still has a really corrupt government. So for the show they put on, you know,
they're corrupt.
Not much has changed.
Like any state government, really.
People
Like
think
any
Jeremy
government across the
Corbyn's
world.
going to save them, but Jeremy Corbyn's not going to save them. Jeremy Corbyn. No, it's not going to even kind of happen.
Wait, Bernie's not coming back to save everybody?
No, Bernie's not sober.
Sorry.
Right.
I still haven't gotten out all my Bernie angst. Almost there, though.
How destroyed he looked that last night.
As well, he should be.
Like, they just...
What happened?
Just how devastated he looked. Like, he just looked like he went to war and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he didn't have a choice in this at the end. That's the impression I got.
Well, he probably didn't really have much of a choice.
Because I still think it was a red flag to me the night he spoke and he said, even though he did say, you got to vote for Hillary, he went on that spiel. But before he did, he says, I look forward to your votes tomorrow night when we start doing this with the delegates. And what happened? He stands up and goes, no, we can't do that. I want the record to show Hillary got all the votes.
Wow.
And from that moment on, he just looked...
I didn't even know about that. I tried not to pay attention to the convention.
He looked like...
Which is a terrible thing to say, but...
Guts.
Wow.
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
That was the cackle. You were doing the cackle again.
Yeah, that sounded like it was like an audio clip. Is that an audio clip or someone actually cackling?
He pulls up this clip of her.
Okay.
I think for 10 hours or something.
He loves it. He has some weird. I mean, it's.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, guys.
This is your show,
Man, I could listen to that for hours. 10 hours, in fact.
That could be on the list. I
I'm at
wonder.
4 hours and 50 minutes. I've almost listened to half of this thing.
You hear those stories over time.
It inspires me throughout the day. It's awesome.
They talk about Rage Against the Machine they play when these lists come out when they torture people, when the U.S. government tortures these people. They play these certain songs. Like, that should be on the list. I think the Barney theme song was on there.
Oh, wow.
Change their siren to this. Man, who wouldn't stop in their tracks when they heard that shit?
That cackle.
Just throwing that out there. FYI.
So,
You heard it here first.
Yes.
Heard it here.
Do you
Write
know
it down.
actual Hillary supporters, or do you know people that just hate Trump more than her?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm in a very specific demographic politically, which is mostly very liberal. And I will say there are a lot of very independent-minded people who live in LA, and I'm lucky to have met a lot of them, and they don't buy into any of it. But as far as people who are voting, there are a lot of people, I think it's like dual reasoning. Like, the people out here have convinced themselves that they're both being pragmatic by, like, avoiding Trump if they vote for Hillary, but also that they should feel really good about it because Hillary's a woman and this and that. And you guys know, I got into it with a yoga instructor who calls herself an activist because she endorsed Hillary Clinton.
I like it.
And I've been kind of going crazy out here. And it's funny because it's like I don't even go to yoga classes anymore because I'm so frustrated with the hypocrisy. But from my computer screen, why do I do this? Well, how do I get sucked into threads with like yoga people who don't know anything about politics? But that's why. It was to the point where these yogis who, like, I'm a yogi, like, I'm a yoga instructor. I've done a certification. I take it seriously, but it was like really like emotionally frustrating for me to talk to people who claim that they like preach peace and want nothing but love and peace in the world, and they need to cultivate compassion and help people realize their truths and just like live their lives so they can make a difference in the world. And like that just really offends my sense of justice as someone who does yoga. Like, to sit there and say those things and in the same comment say, this is not an election to vote your conscience. You don't get to vote third party. Like, these are people actually telling others how to live their lives and telling them to do things that have very real world violent implications. Like, you can't go around and say you love peace on one hand and then vote for Hillary Clinton and do it with pride. Like, and the reason, sorry, I need to rant right now. I'm going crazy out in LA, but it's so frustrating because their whole yogic philosophy, and this is actually part of yogic philosophy, and I think the one point in all of it that I actually disagree with is that you can't change the world, and so you have to just go inside and work on yourself. And I'm all about that. However, if that's all we do, nothing's going to change. LA is like a shithole. So everybody's doing their thing here, and things haven't gotten better. So I apply it to a real-world situation, and it's just really frustrating that these people sort of avoid any kind of engagement in the real world because they're so busy focusing on themselves, and then they have the gall to like preach to other people about how to institute or perpetuate peace when they're voting for the biggest warmonger running for office, probably in the last decade. It blows my mind. And that's just the power of the propaganda and of the two-party system and of the lesser evil, which I guess is my point.
Stop with that stupid thing, for real.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
But here, look. To me, it's
my baby.
The thing that's frustrating with me about it, I think about all the different topics. Everybody thinks they're an expert on politics.
Oh, yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's the problem. Everybody thinks they're an expert on it. And I'll be honest with you, I look at more than the average person, and I know nothing.
Exactly, same. But the thing is, in my opinion, people are conditioned to believe they are the expert because when you grow up in a country and you're told you're free and that voting is like the greatest expression of that freedom and that the individual, and I'm all about individuality, but they sort of parlay this idea of individualism into collective government, which is so backwards and creepy, but people are taught that they have the right to express their opinion, and then you have millions of people walking around talking like they know everything and like they know what's best for this country because they're raised in a system where they're told their voice counts, and it doesn't count. But they think that by punching that hole, it does. And I feel like people sort of get a superiority complex about that.
and it's really, really, really depressing to say, and I know it angers people, especially when they do have troops going overseas and dying, but I don't know how anybody can look at what Hillary Clinton just did. Like, what is the difference between that and a North Korea election? I'm sorry, what's the difference?
Yep.
She was chosen at the beginning of it. They put on a little show for everybody, and then it was her.
Yep. And a crappy show, I might
And
add.
it was done.
I was just going to say, yeah.
It was horrible, man.
Like, it was obvious that she took the DNC. It was obvious that she colluded with Tim Kaine. It was obvious that she was colluding with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's very apparent what happened. 6 coin flips. That's great. Thanks, David Copperfield, getting him on the staff. It was right in front of everybody's faces.
Well, what blows my mind is, like, they just had the DNC, and don't get me wrong, the RNC is just as much of a horrible convention as any other one, but the fact that, like, the WikiLeaks emails came out right before the convention, and they just, like, acted like nothing had happened. Like, it was just so creepy. Like, they've been totally caught with their pants down. Like, everybody knows how corrupt they are, and they still have those giant balloons, and Bill Clinton and Hillary, like, putting on a show that they're, like, mystified and delighted by balloons. Like, who's buying it?
The Clintons definitely know how to deal with getting caught with your pants down. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, I walked right into that one. Let's be real.
Email, I don't know if you saw in the DNC leaks, there's an email that was something to the effect of, these Bernie supporters can watch us stuff the ballots in Iowa and New York, and guess what? By the time November comes around, they're going to vote for Hillary because we told them to. And so, like, they know that people have, and here's the sad part. Guess what, everybody? People have a very short attention span. And I think in past there has been some truth to that kind of stuff because it happened with Mitt Romney. People are like, we hate Mitt Romney. I'm going to support. They were just coming up with people. The guy that used to run that pizza place, get him out here. Like, anybody. Oh, he was horrible. Who cares? Get him back. Like, they were for anybody. And the media.
Man, I miss Herman Cain.
And the media the entire time, no matter who was leading, said, well, they're leading this week, but we all know you're going to get Mitt Romney, so I don't even know why we're doing it.
Yeah, got to be a leader there for a second. Right. I think even Herman Cain was leading the polls.
Everybody won, every single one of them at one point. And they're like, yeah, that's your guy of the week. We know it. Flavor of the week, you're getting Mitt.
Until people heard Herman Cain actually have to speak for more than 3 seconds.
And look what happened between Ron Paul and Mitt Romney on the election in Maine. That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. I remember that day so vividly. That was the first day I started to lose faith in the American election cycle. I was sitting at Ron Paul headquarters in Venice watching Whitney Houston's funeral on CNN for 5 hours while they had a little marquee that said, like, recount in Maine. Yeah. And that was, like, the first time I was like, wait a minute. Like, something's not right in this country. Like, I knew she was bad, but, like, it was, like, my first level down into the rabbit's hole. I was, like, starting to dig the soil, and then I just, like all the way down. And it's really sad. And I've been watching a lot of people realize that this election season, too, and it's still a positive. I'm still going to take it as a good thing, but it is definitely sad to watch.
Hey, Barack Obama answered the question today when they asked him if the elections were rigged. He said, this election's going to be like every other election.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, he said it was ridiculous. He to respond to that. That's
don't ask me no questions, and I tell you no lies.
Yep, and then he said,
yeah, exactly.
Every other. I said, I agree with you, sir. Yep. I concur.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
It's a Barryism.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was telling without telling them.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad that that's where we're at. But it's where we're at. And it's unfortunate. And I know it's just so doom and gloom and horrible, but look, you got to start saying, got to start calling it for what it is. Call a spade a spade. We got to stop pretending that this isn't happening. Because the longer we live in denial, like, you can't cure the disease until you diagnose it.
I hate to tell you, like, I hate to say it, I really do, and maybe this is just my Facebook news feed, but, like, there are real Hillary Clinton supporters out there, and we all know there are Donald Trump supporters, but, like, what I've noticed in my talks with all of them, and like I engage quite a bit on the internet as well as in person with family friends, like with people just in Los Angeles, and like what I found is that on both sides, the Trump side and the Clinton side, and it's really sad, and it's something the people who like can at least recognize it need to like be aware of and start working against or to combat, is that like if you try to talk to a Clinton supporter and you give them a paragraph of facts, you give them all these links, and they'll just give you like, yeah, but she was Secretary of State. You're like, okay, but what did she do as Secretary of State? Well, you know, she managed America's place in the world. And then you talk to a Trump supporter, and you bring up, I can't think of an example right now, but it's just anything you say to them. I was talking to my friend, and I brought up drone wars. We were talking about, it was about Obama, but he's a Trump supporter, and we brought up drone wars, and he goes, what's a drone? And like, hold on, you want to impose your views on somebody who is like clear, not as much of a warmonger as Hillary Clinton, but still a warmonger, and you don't know what America's drone warfare is about? Like, this is the level of information we're dealing with. And I'm so glad that our wonderful editor-in-chief, Nick Burnaby, wrote that awesome article this week about how only 9% of Americans voted in the primaries. So that's sort of heartening. Like, okay, cool, not everybody thinks that. Like, not everybody's racing to the polls to go vote for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, but it's still really scary to see the level of discourse in this country. And our generation, I think the younger generations are evolving past it slowly, but talk to people. I don't want to be ageist because my dad's awesome, my parents are awesome, they're not like that, but like, I think a lot of it is a generational thing.
Yeah, some of it is probably. I think, well, you got to remember too, a lot of these kids have grown up.
Kids, yeah,
they have.
Mm-hmm.
They've grown up with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one of the first things I saw on YouTube was a whole bunch of video of the Pentagon, and there was no airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, what's going on? They told me there was an airplane in that building. I don't know about this. Those kids grew up with that.
Yeah.
They weren't in their 20s when they found all that out. They were 10, 11, 12 years old, and that's been forever. But this is also the same exact generation walking around off cliffs playing Pokemon right now. So,
which is not all entirely bad. It's not like a total negative. At least people are socializing and exercising. Other than that,
happens.
Did we just out Carrie as a Pokemon Go player?
I am not a Pokemon Go player. I don't even know what a Pokemon is. I've never been into Pokemon. But like,
I know what it is. I don't do it. I have things.
You don't do it.
No.
I'm
right.
I know it's popular. People like it. It's fine. But I just don't about it, nor do I care. But
why don't we get it as an experiment and put it on?
I think, but again, Trump is part of the reason these young people, it's celebrity worship. And that's Trump's going to win. He's a celebrity.
He's a walking soundbite. He's a walking meme.
He is. And that's the culture look, Trump, okay, his response to the con guy. See if y'all go with me on this, because you know I'll go some weird places when we're talking about political strategy with this stuff. His response to that whole situation was the Constitution. He said, you don't have the right to respond to me, you know, waiving a Constitution. What gives you that right, or whatever his response was. And clearly, anyone with a brain would have responded by saying, literally the thing that he was shaking at you, it's the first thing in there, gives him the right.
Yeah.
Like, he's not so stupid. He didn't know that people all over the world were going to come at him with that. And they did. But you know what it did? It filled the headlines. And they talked about him nonstop. He knows how to keep his name in the media.
He's a pro.
He knows how to keep his name out there. Now, is he doing that on purpose? I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I think at this point he is.
I don't know. I don't know.
Now that all he has to do is go out in front of a camera and say something silly and
he's a lot
negative
more
headlines and see his poll numbers tick back up.
Well, yeah, I mean, all he cares about
poll numbers. That's not real.
I don't think he's stupid enough to think a guy that's paid this much money to people knows that, you know, all the media is on the tape. He knows it because he's been part of it. Okay, he worked for NBC. Don't forget it.
We brought this earlier in the broadcast. Yeah.
So
General.
So he knows. He knows how it works, and he knows those poll numbers are ridiculous. And those poll numbers are meant for him to. He's going to get a couple polls for him. She's going to get a couple polls for her, and they're both going to celebrate them. That's it.
And somehow Alex Jones is still throwing a party somewhere.
What?
That guy's on a trip, dude.
That
That guy has been on a trip for like 20 years now.
I mean, it's finally now it's.
What's the new twist? What am I missing?
Well, the whole Trump thing. It's yeah.
He's been on that for a while. He's been on that.
He's pretty much a trendsetter. If you want to get down to it,
seem to be a fan.
Sit here first.
He does a great job of using the media and getting himself trending. Does he not?
Yeah, kind of like his boy Trump does.
Yeah.
I think Trump, he helps, with the division in this country, but what doesn't at this point? Everything's dividing. Everything, everywhere you turn around, is going to divide people.
Well, that's the thing, is like the left is so scared out of their minds about Donald Trump, and it's because they say that he's like whipped up all of this xenophobia and this hatred and this division, and like, yeah, he's definitely made people feel more confident about their bigotry, but that was already there.
Yep.
Like, Donald Trump is not the reason that people are becoming or showing their hatred now. He was just like the catalyst. It's all been brewing for decades, if not centuries.
Well, it's the same. Okay, it's Bernie and Trump. They both were catalysts for something in this country that we needed. Bernie's was young people that did grow up watching those YouTube videos, did grow up with a ton of college. They got college debt because they were stupid enough to fall for that. I'm sure I'm offending people that did it. I'm sorry, but I'm glad you're...
Broad statement, y'all. Not everybody.
I'm glad
we understand.
Yeah, whatever. I just throw out some stuff. I'm upset about it. Anyway, everybody's in debt. I get why those people went to Bernie. And you got a lot of people in this country that are mad, and they hear wall. I want a wall. I'm tired of getting pushed around, even though nobody's getting pushed around.
I want to build a wall around
They are getting pushed. I don't know. They are getting pushed around, but it's by the government. It's not by the people they think it is. What's so amazing to me is they have the audacity to say, all these people are taking our jobs, they're taking this, they're taking that, they're taking this. It's like, any check they're getting, it's all being, what's making you mad? They're not paying taxes. Whose fault's that? The government. Mm-hmm. It's the government's fault they're not paying taxes, because if you wanted to simplify this process, you could screen people, you could let them in.
How many of y'all want to pay taxes yourself?
Well, I don't.
Yeah, seriously.
Blames them, and the government's letting it happen. People are coming over here for a reason. The government's allowing all this to take place. Look, if somebody's getting a welfare check, is the person that's sending the letter the person responsible, or the person receiving the letter and responsible for what's in it? The person receiving it is just getting it.
I've got to say this, though. Okay, we all know taxation is theft. We all have to pay the taxes. Okay,
Hold on, what did you just say?
Taxation is theft. Taxation.
Wait, who's saying that?
I am.
You know what? I've never heard that.
You guys are all Southern. I can't tell who's who. Who said it?
Oh, did you just make it? Oh, did you?
Did I just say something that was inappropriate and offensive?
She can't tell us Southern people apart.
Oh, no.
That's cool. We get that.
My ignorant California arrogance.
Now, this is Shannon.
Okay, awesome, cool. I just had to know because it was a great thing to say. Carry on. Sorry.
Well, and we all agree that taxation is theft, whether you want to nod your head or not. We all know it in our hearts to be true. That being said, the one that everybody is pissed off about the poor people getting, or the immigrants getting, or this, that, and the other, out of your deductions in your paycheck.
I know what you're going to say.
You know right where I'm going with this. Roughly around, 10% or so goes towards social services of that nature. 40% of the withholdings of your check go towards corporate subsidies. Why people aren't pissed and raising the roof is beyond me.
40%?
40%.
Who pays for all those wars we're talking about?
Me.
Yeah, individuals and businesses. Corporations, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, but they want the war. It's like they're cool with it as long as they want the program. Like, that's fine. It's just if somebody else wants to force something on them, it's not cool. But they're totally fine forcing it on other people, which just blows my mind. And this is just on the left and the right. And it's like you hear these people talk, and they talk about all these wonderful things that you should do, and like you give. I don't know. It's been frustrating. I'm sort of. And sorry, I'm sort of jumping around here, but I do want to say not everybody knows taxation is theft. A lot of people think it's just the price you pay for a civilized society as they sit there bitching about how screwed up this country is. So I'm as baffled as everybody else.
In this country are, this, for example, pro-Second Amendment, but believe that we should have, like, just straight up or make marijuana completely illegal. But we have to have the Second Amendment. Because Second Amendment, well, then people are going to get those guns anyway. How am I going to protect myself? Because people are going to get guns. You know, that's the mentality. Oh, they're going to come and... But when you make marijuana legal, well, that's just, you can't do that.
It harkens back to what Hayek of Road to Serfdom fame. He wrote a really great essay called "Why I'm Not a Conservative," and he expounded on it, basically saying that a lot of conservatives, for as much as they want to be to wear that mantle of liberty defenders, that many of them literally want to conserve the status quo. So rather than really radically change it, for say instance, where libertarians or more freedom-minded individuals would say, "Hey, get rid of the Department of Education, get rid of taxation, get rid of the federal government's, the taxes, get rid of this and this and that." That's that's ours. A conservative would say, "Hey, we're kind of in debt, but hey, I think we should keep Social Security. I think we should keep this, and this, and this." It's about conservation. They just don't want radical change, and a lot of conservatives are opposed to any kind of radical change, regardless of which way it goes. Well, that's not necessarily true, because... No, not necessarily.
Look, and Trump's doing it right now, because he paints these broad strokes, just the sound clip that people want to hear, and one of those sound clips are, we're going to make the military bigger, better, and stronger, because that's one of those triggers people want to hear. But... that's money. You talk about how we're broke, right? We're $19 trillion in debt, according to their calculations. And you're like, we need our military to get way bigger. We should spend more money on that. I know we've got 100 bases everywhere, but we should probably pour some more money into this.
That's another one of those things. I don't think he believes it. I really don't.
I don't think anybody. I don't know what he believes, honestly. I don't have a clue what he believes.
Well, the few things, I've brought this up before, the one thing I think he's been adamant on from watching some of his older videos to present day is his opposition, for the most part, to war. And again, I know we kind of have to separate the Donald Trump, what he possibly could be meaning, versus what he's telling people on the campaign trail, which is to be expected, of course. But even for a long time, he has had a lot of opposition to NATO, to the U.S. carrying the water for NATO. And in generally, I think he was right when he was against the war in Iraq. And so this is another one of the situations where I feel like he is probably more anti-war than what he leads on to. And you can listen to him. He had a great speech. I say a great speech. He had one of a Donald... I have to admit, the man is got
great on the curve.
He is good with his words. He really is a wordsmith.
With his fourth grade level words.
He's got great words, huge words, lots of great words. They're all great, but sits across the message, and he does what he does. He does what he has to do.
He's always talking like he's talking in front of a room of toddlers.
Yeah, he does. But you know what? That unfortunately, when you look at the United States and the public education system, most Americans read on what level, I mean, this is kind of talking.
Exactly. That's why he's doing so well.
I read a lot gooder than you do.
Right. It's future. But yeah, I do think he's a little more opposed to some of the wars.
I don't know what he believes, but I know this. I think he's playing that part really well.
Well, war's bad for business. Well, when your business is not war, it's generally war's bad for your business. It's like the mafia.
I'm sure in the business of war.
That's what I say. Yeah. It's like the mafia. They kind of had, to some extent, they had a code of, they didn't really necessarily go around capping everybody off that, who maybe probably possibly should have gone.
Well, I think you see that with Putin right now, because look at the money that Putin has accumulated. Nobody knows, how much he's really worth. He has so much money. It's all the money in Russia, just about. And he doesn't want this war because that's bad for his business. He can steal all he wants in there, but look, he's not going to make money off of that. That's going to be some trauma to him and his situation. So he wants to avoid that war if possible. And the only people that are claiming for this war are the people here that would profit from
Right,
it.
on the West, typically. For
Yeah.
the most part, right.
That's the only people that are like, we need to go to war.
I'm telling you, he had a great, I think you may have mentioned it earlier at the first part. He had a great speech where he spoke to the media and said basically, hey, listen, I'm going to put this, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but listen, I'm begging you, the Western media, to quit this stuff.
I'm not going to sit here and praise Putin, but at the same time, he sounded pretty sincere in that.
Oh, yeah, he generally did, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's authoritarian. I hate that we have to, to add that caveat that, hey, we're not supporting Putin.
Well, because everything in American politics is so black and white.
Right.
It's either you're with us or you're with the terrorists, or you're with the liberals or with the conservatives. And it's like, people think they have room for gray area, like it's so funny. No, I shouldn't say funny. It's so interesting to watch people reason out their beliefs, like when they're arguing with you, and like, they think that they're acknowledging that gray area when they acknowledge that, the Iraq war was a mistake, but we still got to go bomb all those terrorists. It's like, that's not the gray area I was looking for. It's like two shades of gray, and they're pretty much the same.
And something recent conversation that I had with a guy at a coffee shop, and we were talking about the election, of course, and I was like, I dislike them both. And he was like, it surprised me. Because he was so shocked, like, oh, well, at least, like, you don't like either one of them, I guess. He's like, that's interesting. Like, he was, like, in shock that was possible, that you can choose. And shows me for being sheltered in my world. I'm like, who's buying any of this?
There's still people, and it's people who grew up in a prosperous America when there was a two-party system. And so I think, like, I don't want to paint broad strokes, and I wasn't alive during those times, so I can't comment too much. But having talked to my parents about it, like, my mom's sort of making her way out of that mentality, and we've talked about it because I got so frustrated she didn't understand, like, where I was coming from, that we had to, like, sit for a couple hours and just, like, tease things out. And, like, we discussed the fact that it's like she grew up in a prosperous America where her lower middle-class parents could send her to college, and she didn't have to pay a dime, and she didn't have to go into debt. And, like, that was in a system where it was left versus right. And so I think a lot of older people are still stuck on that, and they think if they can just get their favorite, politician or ideology in power, to go back to how it used to be. And I think we're past that point. Like, none of us ever knew that America, and that America was really screwed up, too. They were lucky enough they didn't have to deal with all of the problems, like the racism and the Jim Crow, I'm lucky I'm white. But these problems have been going on a long time, and the two-party system has been failing to stop them since it was created.
Great points.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this has been a problem. There's been problems since day one. Because that's one thing with this police violence. I think a lot of it's been happening for a long time, and it's being caught now because people have cameras. And people are exposing, some of these situations. The big one for me was the one in South Carolina where the guy got shot in the back.
Right, in the back.
Nobody would have ever known it. The original story was like, he had a gun on him in the end.
And the
taser, footage came out.
The taser that was pointed on him too.
And the footage came out. It was 30 feet away in the back with the guy running just right in the back and killed him. He went over and dropped the gun next to him.
My father, and
it was all on tape.
My father, who I discuss this stuff with, typically, I know a lot of us probably have the same issue. You've got relatives that know of your beliefs. Maybe you've tried to talk to them and kind of share with them, and maybe they ostracize you, or maybe they just they've got too many things going on. But my father actually raised that point. He had seen that video clip, and he brought it up to me, and I thought it was interesting. That's one of the. It's another one of those situations that the apologists for law enforcement carte blanche completely, totally. It's one of those things you can show them this video, and that they're hard pressed to defend, along with the video.
No, they don't. They won't defend that one. They'll go, that's one of them. They'll go, Well, he did get in trouble for that because there are, if there's a bad one, they should get in trouble.
Oh, right. Well, they can't defend.
That's what they say.
Right. But, like even where happened to that psychologist being shot? Remember the therapist that was shot?
Yeah.
That kind of quickly went away, didn't it? It seemed like that was, and if I'm not mistaken, it was
there's like a 1 in
trending.
1,000 chance of being convicted if you're a cop and you kill somebody. 1 in 1,000. Do you think that 1 out of every 1,000 times it's justified?
Oh, no, of course not.
Because that's what the statistics show.
Right.
If you believe that, if you think that, you have to remember these are people. That people have this perception that, oh, well, it's the military, or, oh, it's cops, or, oh, it's this, or, oh, it's that. These
Authority.
are people. And a lot of times, these are young kids that don't know anything. And they're reactionary. And they're walking around all machismo. It's not like this big, this whole system. It's just people in some clothes. And some of them try to keep us safe. And some of them don't. And people need to realize that it's not this whole world of just, it's right. Are you with the blue line? Are you with the black line? Are you with the all line?
Right.
It's like, good grief. Everybody take a step back. Calm down here.
Forced to pick sides because we are literally being
it's
forced
like
to
there's
pick
people
sides.
dying while everybody's sitting here arguing and pointing fingers and it's but these people, but shut up. You're sitting here arguing. There's people dying.
Well,
so get over yourself.
It also, the case with corn gains out in Baltimore, particularly these days, if you're very vocal, Sandra Bland comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very extremely vocal on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. Very vocal in your disdain for law enforcement. Your chances of meeting that fate tick up a little bit.
Well, unfortunately, we live in a society now where there's people among us that feel like they are at war. And again, armed guards at your house, interpret that how you will, but that's not, Andy and Barney coming down the street to take you up to the jail for the night.
We heard you was running the steel. Come on with us.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's one thing that really worries me too, especially with this, the rise of lone wolf attacks, and even, a lot of the stuff going on with the Middle East. I know this can kind of transfer over even to situations culturally and racially, like the Black Lives Matter group. There's a lot of groups that feel like they're being screwed over, basically.
They are.
But what worries me is that more and more, for instance, more and more Muslims that are good, genuine, just regular everyday people, be it American, be it whatever nationality. Now that's a big deal, but that will my fear is that people will become in fear they literally are being targeted because of their religion. And will feel like they have no choice.
Why wouldn't people feel that? When Trump made comments about, look, and here's the thing, look, this could play out in a lot of ways, but one of the things that Trump says that is terrifying is like, we're going to start surveilling this. That's police state. We're already living in a police state. It's...
Well, and all that does is alienate people who are already marginalized, and that's actually a strategy of ISIS. It's like the gray zone theory, and Dan Sanchez, who's one of our contributors, has written a really good essay on it. If you go Dan Sanchez gray zone, I think that should give you the article, but it's about how, especially in places like France, which has been hit hard by terror attacks, like ISIS is relying on the racism and the meanness and like the French or what are European society's rejection of these young Muslims in these countries, because the more that these people feel marginalized, the more vulnerable they are to joining ISIS. Like, this is a strategy. It's so obvious, and yet you have these people who claim to hate ISIS and want to destroy ISIS, they're playing into the hand of ISIS as they rage on about how much they hate Muslims and beat up Sikhs, not knowing the difference.
And I guess a broken clock's right twice a day, but Obama did say in his speech today when he was kind of meant a little bit of some of the stuff Putin was saying like, look, he said these are terrorists. They're called terrorists for a reason because we could wipe them off of a map. They can't do anything to us. Nothing. Our military power, just destroy.
They can't
them.
bring down a
He said, but
country.
what they can do is they can cause fear. That's what they just cause. They get scared. He said, and then how do you react to when these things happen? Are you going to just go crazy and make it worse? Or are you just going to calm down and be like, okay, we can't give up what we have here? And it's not much, I agree with him, but he's got a point on that one. We're just
Absolutely correct, because the government, you know what the government's going to do, right?
Because all these flag-waving liberty people, well, freedom, America, red, white, and blue, they're the people, they're the first people to go, I'll give up my right. As long as it's up their gun, they don't care.
Hard to argue. Hard to argue with it.
I wish we could talk to Corinne Gaines about this.
The ones that quote that quote the
we
founders, the one that quote the founders about need for security or giving up your liberty for security. Yeah, you're right. They're the first ones that will actually be willing to give up that liberty for that security.
Just make sure your car tags are in place.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, people will overlook the biggest things over a situation because I don't know if it's to be accepted in society, but as Kerry said earlier about the Hillary Clinton stuff, you can show somebody Hillary's record and all this horrible stuff she's done, and you just get, well, she was Secretary of State.
Right. She might fence up. Yeah, right.
Okay, look, and this one, as we all know, just irks me to no end, is Christians with Donald Trump. It's like, this guy. Oh, God. It's like, are you kidding me with this? The stuff that comes out of his mouth, and you're going along with this business?
Well, what gets me about that is that, like, Trump supporters, I would say, like, tend to be on the right side of the spectrum, and the right side of the spectrum claims that they hate government and they don't trust government. So it's just, like, mind-blowing to me how whatever mental gymnastics they're doing to convince themselves that they can, like, be dogmatic bootlickers for the military and police and still say they hate government. Like military and police are people who enforce the government policies you claim to hate. Like, where... but they have no idea. It's like, I hate government, and if you criticize cops and police, I'll kill you. Okay, cool. I'm just not, like, you can't reason with them, and it's kind of frustrating, but it's also very fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Chris Kyle, I hate to bring it up, but the reaction, the vitriol, the venom that was spewed
worship.
Yeah.
over that guy who has no reflection whatsoever, even on that war, on
self-professed murderer,
on anything to do with any soldier. It's just him. This guy was crazy. He was either a mass murderer, one of the world's biggest liars, which most evidence suggests that he was a huge liar. Because, look, I have to say it every time. He claims he killed 2 guys in Texas. He claims he sat on the top of the Superdome picking people off. He's had medals taken away from him posthumously. Or no, his records came out is what it was. And he said he had more than he did. And I think they ended up pulling something from him, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Anyways, they corrected the record. I know that he lied in his book about how many he had. He lost the case with Jesse Ventura. And actually lost in court after he was dead. They did that to his widow, and he was a hero at the time, a hero. And they still the guy lied. Mm-hmm. Because he was a crazy liar. And yet, if you mentioned a foul word about him, like people went into hysterics. Oh, hysterics.
Well, how does Chris...
Real quick, Ron Paul made the comment right when he died. That said, well, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. Mm-hmm. And people went bonkers on him.
So angry. Well, I wanted to ask, I only heard of Chris Kyle when American Sniper came out. Like, how did he rise to prominence? Was he propped up by, Fox News? Or, how did people even hear about him? Or was it straight from American Sniper?
He had a book. And
it was a book.
And he come over and started doing the Craft International business. And he was used kind of as a propaganda tool, as like, oh, this is our sniper, this is our guy. And you can see what they turned it into.
The Academy Award nominee.
Yeah, that went pretty far.
Think that Clint Eastwood, just as a director, and this is not because I'm biased about Chris Kyle one way or the
He's
other.
back in the news, by the way. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, it seems like I heard something about that.
I saw a headline about the election.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
Something about a chair.
Out of my cold, dead hands. Yeah.
I think that was, yeah.
That was Charlton.
But yeah, easily the worst movie he's ever directed. It's a horrible directing job.
Which
Really
one?
is.
Ghostbusters?
No, American Sniper.
That
Where'd
was
you come
actually
up
wasn't
with
good, man.
Ghostbusters? Where'd you come up with Ghostbusters at?
It's a new flick.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Completely.
Bill Murray, it's an
Sucks.
old movie, but I've seen it. Bill Murray was
The
in
new
it.
Ghostbusters is
I
a
don't
new
know.
flick, my
The
friend.
only thing I know about that is I think
All
that
female cast.
what's his face got kicked off of Twitter for it.
Oh, Milo.
Yeah,
Good boy.
and he's funny.
Daddy.
He seems like a pretty horrible person, but
He is. You see his fat shaming video?
no,
Oh, you serious?
Hey,
He
but
took a
it's
picture of
funny
a
to
lady in the
watch.
gym. Oh man, that guy's.
I love him. He's
look, I would
character.
think, I would think Trump was the funniest, greatest thing ever if he wasn't trying to be president and kill us all.
Yeah, it
Right, exactly.
has no balls if he doesn't elect him as his press secretary.
Don't say
I'm
that.
just
You can
saying.
tell by the size of his hands that that's not true.
Man, that guy's insecure.
No problems
Look
here.
at those hands.
Was that me and you conversation, Shane, about how insecure Trump is?
Oh yeah.
It's probably
Oh yeah.
we've had that conversation.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably one that it's no secret that the guy's insecure.
And then, sorry, I just have to point this out on the flip side, like how egotistical and overly confident Hillary Clinton is. Like, no one likes her. Nobody likes her. They can't get people to go to her rallies. Like, yeah, there are people who are going to vote for her, but, like, nobody loves her. Like, and she doesn't care. Like, she's going to do whatever she has to do to get to the White House. Like, at least in Donald Trump's little bubble of narcissism and, like, where he's the center of the universe, like, at least he actually is the people of some people, or the center of some people's universes, which is a sad statement in and of itself, but at least, like, there's some reality to back up the delusion. Like, in Hillary Clinton's case, it's like she knows no one likes her. She's like, yeah, well, too bad, bitches. I'm going to be president anyway.
Well, they're playing different games because Trump is trying to sway the public in his direction. She doesn't have any public in her direction.
She'll shoot the public. She doesn't
Right,
care.
she doesn't care. So she gets away with, because no one likes her, just going up and being like, well, guess what, everybody? That just left in disgrace, she's working for me now. Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. I'm still going to be president.
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
But I agree. She is probably the most entitled person that I could to in her position. She literally, and Carrie, you brought it up a minute ago, that the way that she acts, she seems like she's entitled to it. Like, this is her role. She was
I've
destined for
always
it.
thought that, well, no, I think they told her in 2008 she was 1,000% going to become the president in 2016. I think that conversation happened.
Well, we saw there was a bit of a piece.
I don't ever believe they were telling her the truth, but I think she believed they were.
And Kevin, I prefer to use the term that Hillary Clinton is the most prolific welfare whore in American politics. I said it.
I'll try to.
That's sexist. You're not allowed to say that.
No, guys can be
Hey,
welfare
we're all
whores,
down
too.
for sex. What do you say? What do you say? What was your last?
A welfare whore is not a gender-specific term.
No, not a bit.
I think we need to clear.
Whore is.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
I know plenty of guys that are whores.
Just ask Shannon. He's been called that for.
Me too. I do too, but it's not like as widespread a thing. Like, you feel way more normal calling a girl a whore than a guy. Like, I call guys whores all the time if they're whores, but I don't think that's made it into mainstream culture yet. You know, like, I feel like whore for women has, like, several millennia on men.
I think it's up to
But
us people out
here's
here.
something, though, with Hillary Clinton that I think's a little different. Okay, if there was any other woman running,
Right.
and Donald Trump looked at her in a debate and called her a bitch to her face, everybody would go, he's the most sexist, horrible person.
Yeah.
If he looks at Hillary Clinton in the face and goes,
Thunderous
you're a
applause.
bitch, people are going to be like, man, we have waited 25 years for somebody to say that to her.
Right. Yeah.
Thunderous
She is the
applause.
worst, isn't she?
Please say it next. Play another one. Say
Yeah,
another
do
one.
it again. Her, because it's her. If it was anybody else, you couldn't get away with it. But this woman has like a trail of dead bodies. Look at what
Vince Foster.
forget that. Look at foreign policy, what she's done. Like, we're bombing, as of this weekend, we're going straight into Libya. We're going heavy into Libya right now. because of her, what she did. And that whole video business, that still angers me. Oh, we came, we saw, he died. Ha, 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 ha.
Right. Sounds so sickening, did it not?
Yeah, fucking sociopath.
And but
Jeez.
stuff like that, and it just makes people sick. She just laughs at that kind of stuff and gets in people's faces, and everybody knows what she's doing is rigged. Like Donald Trump is going to be able to stand in front of the world, look her dead in the eyes, and go, bitch. And nobody cares.
Golden shower and all.
I don't know. I still think it's.
He is one too, though, isn't he?
I think it's still going to be more of this, my friend. I'm just saying.
That's going to be her response. I predict that would be her response. I predict
It probably will be.
I don't think she has any other response.
That's her awkward response for everything.
Right. I think that's real, Shannon. I think that's how she's actually going to react to
We
something.
hear it. We hear it. God.
Yeah, you can stop.
No. It never
It
ends.
doesn't.
But I think that that's what's, we'll see. Who knows?
Cash rules everything around me. Cream.
It could all be
the money, dollar bill.
By this
y'all.
time next week, Marco Rubio could be winning. Who knows, man? He could be back in the race, and this whole thing could be different.
That ain't gonna happen.
It won't. But at this point,
There's no way Trump stays out of it. No, he's in.
I'm
it to
just
win it.
watching. Oh yeah, he's not leaving. But I'm just watching.
I think Twitter has pointed
Watching
out
the
that
show.
nobody is ready for a gay Republican. Sorry.
I'm just watching to see how Vince wrote the script out. Once we get to WrestleMania and see who our champ is,
Gonna body slam Andre the Giant in her big old pants.
will the Republican Party cash in their money in the bank and show up randomly and try to take it from him? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not.
Whatever happened
We'll
to Ted
just see.
DiBiase? Ted DiBiase's still around, isn't he? The $1 Million Man.
He is.
Yeah. Him and
Everybody
Merkel.
has a price.
But you know who's awesome? Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza, it was a catcher for the New York Mets and has nothing to do with what we're talking
Kevin
about.
No, I know his last name's a little similar. And I
Kevin
watched the
loses
highlight
point.
video of him tonight.
But yes,
I just thought the name
Mike
sounded-
Piazza probably was. It probably isn't.
Kevin, you just lost your gold star for
Mike
the
Piazza
evening.
could probably make better political decisions than what we've currently got, and probably have had for a long time.
I think there's a wall for like that. I don't think we can't do that.
We're gonna
There's
build
a
a
wall coming.
Yeah,
gonna build
you're
it
right.
all
Piazza,
around
listen
Kevin.
to that name, Piazza.
Why are we still talking about
Other
this?
side of the wall.
Kevin, you've lost 2 gold stars, and you're getting a demerit now.
If you're gold
I'm
star,
writing right now.
What is this? Not Hitler's Nazi Germany?
Yes.
Put gold stars on
Yes,
people.
yes, it is.
If you're a gold star, I'll pawn it in. Give it to me.
You're fired, man. You're fired.
Oh man, nobody's gotten
Collect-
fired in a while.
Collect
Oh,
your
you're right,
belongings
man. You have to. You're
and
right.
hit the road, Jack.
Fine. I've
We
got
didn't have a
unemployment.
show for.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Who do you think is going to win? Because, and I know it's already decided and whatever, but like, I don't know.
Just-
I thought Donald Trump was going to drop out last year, or like, I thought he would just fade away. So, what do you guys think?
If they don't do something crazy
Or
to him,
completely rig the whole entire
if they
general
don't do
election.
something crazy to him, which hopefully they don't do that. But
I don't know who's
if he
gonna-
makes it, it'll be him.
I don't know who's going to win, but I guarantee you I know who's going to lose, and that's all of us sitting here right now.
Plus,
Exactly.
All the people listening to my voice, we are the losers.
You've already lost.
Congratulations.
if he makes it, he'll win. And it's going to be like it's going to be like the '80 election.
Dude,
It's
Trump's
going to be
got
the
this.
media going, "Oh, look at this! Look at this! This is what an election we've got here. This is crazy. It's going to come down the wire." And Ronald Reagan absolutely just decimated Jimmy Carter. It wasn't even kind of close.
We'll see. The good thing is there would like all of a sudden be a left protest movement again, so that would be kind of cool. But I won't hold my breath.
They don't get a voice anymore because they just supported her.
Who the left? Anton?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Screw them anyway. They lost all their
So
credibility.
we can't collectivize everybody. There might have just been some leftists who rejected everybody and voted for Jill Stein, and I can't discount them. Although I still would never vote for Jill Stein. I'll give them credit. The credit is due. There's still hope, you guys. It's been a very depressing conversation, but there's still definitely hope. And the fact that at least 4 people in this country are sitting around talking about it is good enough for me.
Scared to go vote for either Gary or Jill Stein just because it's like, well,
It is. It gives the finger to the two-party establishment.
but I'm not. Probably
And in respect to the libertarian, if we get 5% nationally, because I'm a I'll pay my dues, man. If we get 5%, then pretty much you can guarantee the Libertarian Party that we will have it.
I've got about
we will have a
Libertarian Party.
5% patience for this conversation.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.